right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Sorry, I was actually just testing. Oh, wow, we have a lot of nether wart there. I guess I went AFK for a bit. But, anyways, I was just setting up my alarm and I wasn't sure if I had enough memory on here because I just. Wait, I need 7 minutes shy. It's like 23, 24, maybe. There we go. Anyways, I don't know. I had a little bit of time before my kiddos' basketball game, so I wanted to come on and really I wanted to walk back some of the stuff that I said yesterday. Like, I mean, I feel not really walk back, but clarify. So when I was talking about that one guy that I knew that paid $500 a semester for college because he was able to prove that he had sufficient Native American heritage, I wasn't saying that like how I ever wanted him to lose that. No, quite the opposite. I want college to cost that much for everybody. It should be based on like how much effort you put into it. And if you don't put the effort into it, then you should have to pay for it, stuff like that. Or some other system like that, like merit based. Because I can see where Elon and Trump are going with that, where they're trying to say, like, I mean, everything should just be like how much work you put into it. You should be rewarded for the work and blah, blah, blah. Like that, I do agree with. However, the problem with that is um, non-white people have always had to put in just a little more work in literally everything done. To a point. Actually, even as I say that, that's not completely true. Like, for everything that they do put a little bit more work in, I mean, there's also, we've been pretty good about building clubs, organizations, and other ways of inclusivity. And I hope that that still persists. And as someone who works in higher education, that is something that is concerning for me because it is very real. And I constantly use the example of being pulled over, and being pulled over while not white is really what it is. It doesn't matter if you're black or, and honestly, I think we should start saying like, this is just my interpretation, like dark skin, darker skin, very dark skin, lighter skin. Like that way it's not white and black because almost nobody is like literally white or literally black unless they are albino or just very, very, very dark skin. And even then, like, because the idea that someone can be white or black, it's like good versus evil, and then you start thinking chess terms, or like, it's like they're pitted against each other. They're opposites. Like as far as the color wheel, they're what is that? Complementary colors, the ones that are on the opposite sides of the wheel, and like one's all of the colors, and one's the complete absence of light. Like, it's just it doesn't make sense. But back to the being pulled over thing, it's very real. You're going to be a lot more nervous if you're not, you know, just a normal white kid, like, oh, no, it's just a white kid, whatever. Like, oh, and actually, as I say that, I feel like that's changed a lot too. I would have to talk to a cop like recently, which I haven't for a while, at least not about this topic. But anyways, no. So those kind of things. Oh wait, back to the work though. So certain families have put in the work, or shortcuts, or stealing. Honestly, is what I feel like. A lot of the more wealthier people did something sketchy, or they took shortcuts, or they like took things that weren't theirs, and nobody stopped them. And then all of a sudden, oh, now they're rich and famous and whatnot. Or like they took chances. They were entrepreneurs and all this. When like if it was all like even Bill Gates, he was dumpster diving to steal someone's code. Like still, that's plagiarism. That's copyright. Like I mean, that's like looking over someone's. Granted, now I love it because with the internet, people encourage you to steal their code. In fact, like my beginner Python tutorial, that's all code that, I mean, it didn't take me much time to write, and it wouldn't really take you much time to write once you learn Python. But I put that out there in hopes that people take it. It's not stealing, it's taking, like, I'm giving it. Like, it's a free website, and we're all about open source now, and like the computer science community, at least a large portion of it, is like nuts to this. I want this to be available for everybody. Like I don't care what you look like, what your history is, what your family's history is, like the sins of the father, like, and should be the mother now. I mean, make it equal, like the sins of the parents and all that. Like, you're not your parents, and so I don't know, and that's why like and I'm excited to get back into it. I'm kind of hovering over. I got to see how the next couple months go because what I want to do Like, one, I want to get a second VR. Yeah, and I can't believe I'm just saying that. Like, a second VR, so my kids don't have to trade off. But my projects are to get. Well, that's another thing that's important to me is to get kids that lost a parent a VR, a PlayStation, something like, something that their parents would have gotten them. A pale moss block. Uh, I'll take some rooted dirt. Yeah, sure. Okay. So, anyways, I'm excited to get back into teaching and working on perfecting, not perfecting so much, but just like working on that. It's like I do have some educational materials, but my microphone wasn't the best. I was wearing just like these like earbuds that happened to um, also pick up voice. They were a microphone as well, or I had a microphone in them, which was it blew my mind when I first saw those. I think they were Apple headphones. They were just like, oh, by the way, you can also talk into them. What? Like you use them as a phone? Or I mean, at least like a headset. I mean, not necessarily a phone, but so. Anyways, that was cool. What a time to be alive! Like so much cool stuff going on out there. So much messed up stuff, and I think we need communication. Communication just for the win. Like we need to figure out what's going on here because back to the Trump and the DEI thing and like yes, Trump and Elon are eliminating DEI from colleges. They see it as racist. I read this letter that I mean, it makes sense, which is scary. Like if you just read it, you're like, huh. Kind of like how I've seen people write arguments to ban water because if you write it compelling enough, you can make people believe almost anything. And the thing I'm talking about with water is somebody at one point wanted to point this out, so they didn't call water or even H2O. They called it some very long like chemistry name that still meant water, but like was able to disguise it so people didn't understand. Shack of shark. Oh, sorry. Um, People didn't understand that it was water that they were talking about this whole time. So they do that, and then, ooh, actually, I do need some more amethyst. So let's go do some kind of mundane thing while we're actually no. What I want to do is I want to build that up. So let's go ahead and harvest the obsidian while we talk about this. So, but anyways, uh, where was I going with all that? So yeah, they say like water in its gaseous form can burn you. It can kill you if you inhale it in its liquid form. Well, if you inhale any liquids, you can die from drowning, and your lungs don't need liquids in them. So, um, and then like just all these things that like if you phrase it right, and it was kind of a funny thought experiment. But this one, like the letter that I read is like, dear colleagues, and the Department of Education put it out for all higher like universities and higher education, saying like basically all of your inclusivity programs, which are very useful and very needed, and like aren't really hurting anybody. Like nobody. The way that it sounds is like these clubs being exclusive, like they're not letting white males join or something. They don't specifically say that, but anything that's based off of race, ethnicity, religion, or any kind of like demographic and allows for that to be. So they're trying to paint it as like there's certain benefits that you only get if you're part of this club, which is racist. That is racist, but that's not how these things operate. Like what they do is they provide resources and extra help for people that might feel marginalized or might not feel like they fit in or might not feel like they're good enough because it's so easy for white people to do this. It's just assumed. And honestly, the only thing that I can think about in this day and age that's still that way is being pulled over by a cop because it doesn't matter how like strong your will is or how strong their will is. There's a chance that you're gonna botch it and then you're gonna freak out and you might get into trouble, all because something that a white person wouldn't have to worry about. Or well, and currently now being pulled over while Hispanic or just darker skin. See how that works? Like darker, really dark, or whatever, really light. Because even like some white people are, pretty tan, pretty dark. So especially like if they have Italian heritage, I feel like their skin might be a little darker, like Hispanic, and then you get into mixing like Spaniards, and I've had to talk with one guy who's like, no, I'm from Spain or something, but I'm still Hispanic or I don't know. But anyways, it's just interesting. So, oh, oh, huh. That does happen in some places. So, anyways, let's see. Let's just continue on. I mean, I think the problem now is just helping people with FOMO, fear of missing out, like, and inclusivity and all of this. And I don't know. Like, it is walking a thin line of racism, DEI, and all that, but it's not the bad racism. Like, it's the empowering based on potential needs. Equity, there you go. So, equity versus equality. Now, what that dear colleague's letter is saying is like we need equality, we need everybody to be treated the same, whereas what a lot of people are saying is like no, we need equity. Like these people that come from these families that have a long history of not really having the same opportunities, that ripples throughout future generations to where they don't have the money to back them up to get like to do well. Okay, now having said that, that's where my concerns are with the dear colleague's letter. Now my concerns are with the other side, the other camp, is that I watched a video where Trump was talking about the American Academy, and he started the video off. It's like a 2-minute video. You can find it on YouTube. I share it around. In fact, maybe I'll try to put it in the description of these videos. Or actually, no, even better, I want to do like a Google Doc where I just compare and contrast presidents and like politicians, what they stand for. Because eventually, what I want to do is I want to build a machine or a website, a web server that basically has all this information posted, comparing, contrasting, putting all their dirty laundry out. Like they voted yay or nay on this bill, and then include a blue book for that bill and every single bill, like the pros and the cons. And that's one thing that I'm upset with the Democrats for specifically. Like all politicians do it, but specifically the Democrats during Biden's administration, like with the Ukraine funding and everything. I was kind of upset about that. It was like, here's a border bill to fix our borders, and oh wait, there's more. We're gonna address Ukraine in this bill. What? No, stick to one issue at a time. And they did that because they're holding it hostage. They're like, oh, you want this, huh? Oh, we're gonna dangle it out in front of you, and like, you have to vote to give Ukraine a lot of money, and like, that's just not the way to do it. Like, if you want to help out another country with their independence and their freedom, you don't trick or like strong arm or hold things hostage from your constituents. Like, that's a childish game, basically. And I feel like I saw that happen a few times, where it's like the border funding bill, or at least once, like the border funding bill, and it was like this 500-page nightmare. Nobody could read it. I heard someone say that they like introduced it like the day before they were trying to vote on it, so it's like you had a day to read. I don't want a day to read 5 pages, let alone 500. I mean, I kind of get upset about grumpy when someone tells me I got to read this. The five is an exaggeration, but still. And well, and depending on the pages, actually, never mind. Like those are really complicated things that they vote on, like a bunch of, and you might not even know what it is. It's like, oh crud, is that what that thing does? Okay, well. So, anyways, the point of all this, why do I want to jump on here and start rambling in the morning, is because we need to make it to where anybody, doesn't matter, any human being can just pop in, get a good education if they put in the work, and allow them to put in the work, because nobody is special, nobody is different. Every human is special. Every human is capable of human things. And once we get into that mindset, it's just going to be a lot easier. Actually, you know what? Let's just take them all. I don't know why I'm even like trying to like make a pattern here. Because if I take them all, then I can just like lay out the stone or dirt or whatever. It doesn't matter. Any kind of block. I was being so careful to do all that, but really we need to harvest all the obsidian. We're still only looking at maybe one level with what I have here, because it takes 23 Well, you have the bottom line, the ground, the floor layer. So you're looking at it's 21 units for the inside, but then there's an extra 2 units because the top and the bottom. But the bottom is included, so we're looking at 22, and then we need four of those, four towers or pillars of 22, and then we need the tops. So what is that? 4 times 20, so 88. So we're there. We have enough for that. And I forget how wide these portals are. As you can see, they're taller than they are wide, so it's not quite 22. So even having two 88s, which hey, that's pretty messed up. 88. So for those that don't know, the 88 precepts are the Heil Hitler things. It's a white supremacist thing, and I actually was starting to learn that from a guy that came from prison. He was a hammer, and he was a white gangster, a white prison gang member. But I was so naive and stupid. I was like, wait, 88? Are there 88 of them? And we didn't. We were just briefly talking about it. He wasn't like educating me or anything. He was like, no, it's 88. And like I would understand what he meant the second time he talked about it. I'm like, I don't get it. And so, but he already knew it was a lost cause on me. I have a giant Wu Tang tattoo on my leg. I'm not all about white power at all. I'm not about white supremacism. I don't really care. Like, I feel like in prison that might be important and you need to click up and be part of your group. But at the same time, even in prison, like, we need to fix that too. We need to fix how we send people to prison for so long, so very long, for like so many things. And I keep thinking about there's a country that their prison is it's very relaxed. Like you don't go there for a lot, and like even if you murdered somebody, you go here. It's like this outdoor thing, and you work on yourself, you actually fix, and then you back out. And I think we would have stuff like that if we had the mental focus or the resources to be able to focus on everyone like that. But the fact of the matter is we don't. We have a lot of people that, population exploded really quickly, really fast, and hmm, huh. So, and the prohibition, the war on drugs, like I mean, it's like we didn't learn anything from alcohol prohibition. And just drugs in general. Like I feel like they're so glorified and everything and dare like again, we're trying to help, and we had police come in and talk about drug abuse resistance education. And never mind that it says drug abuse, not drug use, drug abuse. So even in the terminology, if you stop and think about it, you're like, wait a minute. They're not telling me to not do any drugs ever. They're just telling me don't abuse it. Like you might go experiment, go see what these things are like, go on a vacation to some tropical place and use some kind of drugs or something. But then when you come back, you can't keep using them. You got to go back to normal life and responsibilities and all this. So I don't know. That's yeah. And now I saw someone on the X app arguing that women are the problem. Oh my gosh, I almost tore into him a few different ways. Like, oh come on, bud. Like that's too far. That's too far. Like, and I don't know. There are some things that I would like to see clarified, like with the Black Lives Matter thing. There are rumors that some of the people in charge of that took the money and went and bought like a big old mansion or big old house for themselves or something like that, like completely like misused the money that was supposed to go towards enriching, black communities or giving opportunities for, like taking care of that demographic. They weren't supposed to be taking care of themselves. And so I'm kind of curious. I'd like to see that audited and either fact checked or explained or Snopes or anything like, which it probably is, and so I could probably just go look it up, and I guess that's kind of on me. So I guess I'm not wondering too hard, I should say. Let's see. I also need just a bunch of cobblestone. Let's go ahead and increase this area. I should probably take some time and enchant some more sets of tools and armor, especially after that last scare where I died when I was out exploring. It's still easy to do, even in peaceful. Like, you just go running around exploring somewhere. There's a lot of ways to fall to your doom. So, oh, back to what am I doing about it? So, No, I know nobody asked. I asked myself in my head, but basically, so communal is like the overreaching umbrella that a lot of these projects fall under. Oh, look at that. Hmm. So, but anyways, communal is just like the company name, like the big thing. But basically, what I want it to end up doing is providing, like, through a series of YouTube channels, YouTube for kids, like Google Docs, Scratch programming, all these things. Like, I want it to be like just a free educational and fun hub, and then, well, specifically for programming, but that's just because that's my niche. And so, let's see. Do do do. Whoops. Huh. Trying to make it to where I can come and pour lava into these, and then I can, once it's formed the obsidian, then you break all these other easier to break blocks, and then your obsidian is the guide, actually. So, uh, I don't know. With a grain of salt and understanding that politicians are there to do a job, everything Elon's doing is all for shock factor, for entertainment, almost like razzle dazzle, like we're giving the people what they want. Oh, we found corruption, which so far, I mean, yeah, they found some pretty interesting things, but corruption, I wouldn't say that per se. Like the social security thing, like the way they have the databases, it still includes brackets of people that are of a certain age, like super old, or they don't get removed effectively. But what I want to see is, are the payments still going out to them? First of all, okay, there's problem one, but not that big of a deal unless the payments are being cashed by somebody. Then there's fraud. And then you go and arrest the person cashing the checks. Like, if it's for somebody. And the other thing is, like, are those checks supposed to continue coming? So the thing is my dad passed away when I was 15, and my mom didn't get really a whole lot from him, from his social security and everything, even though he paid into it his whole life. And I mean, he had a bunch of money coming to him. They're only now figuring that out. Like as of now, I mean, he's been dead for over, well, 15 years. So more so, it's going on like 20 years. No, it's even older than that. So basically, what I'm saying is it took this long, like 20 years, for someone to be like, you know what? I think those benefits should go to the family. It's like, you think? Like, what? Why should the benefits that this guy paid into stay with you? Like, that is a horrible thing. Even if you're paying like the wrong choice of person in the family to pay it to, it's still going back to the family. It's not sitting in the government's pockets. Like, no, like this system was meant to make sure that this person had money, and if they're dead, that doesn't mean, oh, I guess we get to keep it. It's as dumb as that. Oh, no price tag. I guess it's free. Like, no. Ah, I cannot stress enough how wrong that is, how dumb that is. So, and this is the type of thing. So I'm like, I don't know. Definitely a grain of salt with everything. And now they're talking about giving us refunds with a lot of the money, like $5,000 checks to every citizen. It's like, okay. But again, we got to focus on where the tax cuts going. The wealthier just continue to get wealthier and not really care or do anything about it. And so, but if everybody, all right, sorry, actually, this is one thing that, um, so in this DEI, my company's actually doing DEI training. Like, it's fine. Like, everybody's like having to stop. In my company, we're in an international education, like institution. We thrive on diversity. That's the whole mission, is to show that everybody in the world is just like you, with their quirks. They get their little things, and then like things that make them happy, things that make them sad, and then it's amazing to find out, wait, that's what makes me happy, that's what makes me sad, because you're a person. And then it's these people in all these different countries, like, oh wait, you're a person too, you're not some crazy bloodthirsty American. Because it goes both ways. Every country that we go to and like bring students to go study, it's like, oh, you're not some big fat like, racist, angry KKK or whatever, like, or whatever the world might think of us from time to time, which can definitely vary very drastically. Also, I just realized I'm the skeleton DJ. My son picked out a different skin. Oh, okay. So I pretty much drained the little pond over there. So let's go back over this way. I'm starting to get all this area too. Oh. Try and make it to where I have like somewhere to stand down there. Like if you take enough of it. See, yep, there it goes. There it starts. Still dangerous. And oh, kind of like how I was picking a sausage fell off a pizza I was cooking last night, and it was just far enough. It was almost like a game of Saw. Like I took the longest tongs that I have. I tried to reach in and grab it so it wouldn't burn and make a bunch of smoke and stuff. But as I was getting closer and closer to the heating elements in the stove, I was like, I might have to burn myself to get this sausage. So just like Saw, where it's like, oh, ooh, I almost burned a bucket. Let's stop there. I have one bucket too many, which is perfect if I didn't have my stack of emeralds, but that's all right. I don't want to lose my emeralds or lose a bucket. All right. And I think I still have enough blackstone. That's what that other stairway down even further was for. Wait. Okay, those are made out of like bricks or something. I was like, is that all made out of blackstone? We'll go rob that. Let's see. Just so I... So anyways, I don't know. I was just like thinking more about that. That's not how I wanted to say it. Is like, oh, this guy gets, only has to pay $500 because he's Native American enough or whatever. No, I want him to still be able to do that, and people like him to still be able to pay almost nothing for an education. I'm fine with that. That's that thing that I learned in the DEI training. Like, we need to think of a world of abundance, not a world of like, oh, well, it's more of like a straw man. Like, if these people are getting this money and these benefits, I almost said handouts, but no, they're not handouts. They're reparations of sorts, like to acknowledge that our country put people, POCs, people of color, basically non-white people, at a disadvantage for a very long time. And painstakingly long and brutal, and it still exists today because those same families they don't have the savings, like the retirements and all this, and like the inheritances. Like none of that's really a reality. I mean, it's starting to become now. Like we're slowly fixing it, but and that's the residual stuff. And so people don't recognize that. But then I can also see it from but we need to think of it in a mindset of abundance. Like there's plenty to go around. We need to just focus like, oh, you need something? Here, let's figure out a way to get you that and communicate. And at first I got pretty mad because I am a Pell Grant recipient, meaning my family is lower middle class, or was lower middle class. I'd say we're middle class now, but like at the time we were middle class to lower middle class. Definitely not lower class. I mean, we weren't on like food stamps and stuff, or maybe, I don't know, and I wouldn't have been surprised, but we weren't living fancy, I guess. And I think it was even worse because I was living next to a pretty well-off family that the guy worked in computers and had a furniture store and all this, and like he took his kids to Disney World every year, like, and it was just, and I'm talking like every year. Like they would go and tell me stories like, oh, it was so cool, we did this and that. And then eventually I found out like, maybe don't tell them so much about that because they don't get to go. Why don't they get to go? Well, because his dad's a drunk. Like, no, I don't know. Maybe they said something like that, and that was the reality of it. My dad was a Vietnam veteran that I've heard he didn't do a bunch of actual combat or wartime or anything. But at the same time, how can you not, if you trained alongside a bunch of people that got killed, that's going to affect you. That's that survivor's guilt. And I have a little bit of that. I have a lot of friends that died that I've met over the years, party people that, through whatever, mostly I blame corrections and the system, because treating them like, very dangerous criminals for having a fix, a desire, an addiction, and even that, just like having a curiosity. We tell kids to be curious all the time, like, Magic School Bus, make mistakes, get messy, and all this, and learn it. Oh, but don't do it that way. It's like, oh, wait, what? You told me to do this, and like, it's like start, stop. Be curious, be scientific, be this and that. Oh, but if you do this, we're gonna put you in prison because you're a horrible person, and how dare you, and all this, and oh, that feels good. Good. Now you're not gonna feel good for 10 years. Like, oh, okay. Like, oh, you tried to help other people feel good. That's another for 10 years. So. Anyways, that's my time there. Let's see. I don't know. I just want to say, like, we all need to make it to where if you work full time, if you work hard, if you study, if you take, if you don't take shortcuts, or at least not too many. I mean, you learn from the ones that you do take. Um, or if you find a shortcut that doesn't really impact anybody negatively, then maybe you just found an enhancement for humanity. But you can't keep it to yourself because that's when it still sounds selfish. So, anyways, I just wanted to come on and say that I'm not mad at the dude for getting cheap college. I'm mad that I had to pay for, college. And I think that's the way a lot of people feel when they see this like tearing down the DEI and all that. They think it's a good thing, or they might think it's a good thing because, yeah, why should they get extra money just because of something racist? Like, they don't understand that more than not. Well, and I don't even understand. I haven't taken any racial justice courses. I was actually just talking to somebody that teaches those, and so it would be interesting to spend a half hour, an hour with that person, and just have them tell me because I don't know. I mean, have this person that's actually studied it, that knows specifics, that knows all this, be like, yes, it's this way, or no, it's not, it's this way. Then I could be like, okay. And at the end of the day, that's still, opinions and stuff. I could still have opinions, but it helps me to form a more rational opinion rather than like, hey, why is this? Because that letter, that dear colleague letter, definitely makes it sound like, holy cow, we've been doing this. That is so racist. Like, wow, I wish I wish I wasn't white. Like, and anything that makes you start feeling like that, like, I wish I wasn't X, Y, and Z. Doesn't matter what it is. It's like, I wish I wasn't this demographic because this demographic is getting all this nice stuff. But that's the sad reality that's been that way for centuries, if not millennia. Is like, this demographic gets all the nice stuff. These pale, soggy people from England and like all this came around and conquered everything in the world, like jolly good. And we've got guns, so we're gonna go make you do what we want. And this is now belongs to us. Like the museums, the British museums, like taking all these riches and fancy things from all these places, and like that's a whole big thing. So, anyways, it's time for me to get ready for the day. So, ta for now. I'll see you in the next one. Let's finish this out. I mean, we're already almost there as far as filling up the first half. No, I guess we're only like a quarter of the way. I love these mechanics in this game. Alright, I will see you in the next one. Ta-ta.